Let's see here. Why do you start stream if not everything is ready? Have you ever streamed before? Once? Yeah. So you should probably not assume that I don't have shit going on to get everything set up the way that it needs to be. I don't think you quite understand just how much of production I got going on here, homie. But I can explain it to people if they would like to understand me understand it genuinely on a different level. Do we love? Chad, I would love to talk about the adversary streaming. I mean, I'm pretty open about. It's tough. It's tough. I do this for a living, so that means there's no off hours. There's always something to be planning, collaborations, content, YouTube videos, tweets. I don't think people realize that I like time tweets. I'll time, like, not all the time. Like the tweets that you see go live, not all of them are like spur of the moment. I plan things out. Try to time release some YouTube videos with tweets and with my stream, making sure I'm collaborating and staying connected with friends, but also being independent. Make sure that, like, you know, my mental health isn't directly tied to how good or bad a stream was a certain day. Make sure I'm not, making sure I'm not letting anybody down. Making sure I'm sticking to my schedule, but I'm also keeping up with real life, like food, like eating appropriately, which I've not been. I need to eat better. The goal is finding content that you're okay being full-time doing. The goal is to find content that you're proud of, that you could do a lot of and not get tired of, but also recognize that even with that, you will get tired, and respect that. Nobody can be on 100% all the time, and you don't want to force yourself to be. But also understand that if you want to take this seriously, that you also have to be responsible and like hold yourself to a standard, you know? Like the I think people sometimes forget that, like, the streamer life, like the content creator life, it's not paradise. It is when you and it's your passion, but that doesn't come without hard work and a grind. There's no fallback, like, when it comes to accountability. If I start having a shitty schedule and I start letting things fall through the cracks, then my work suffers, and there's no one to tell me to not do that, you know? I have to recognize that, like, if I'm gonna have this lifestyle, then I gotta respect it and the hard work that comes along with it. It's weird, but here's what I'll say. Going live is the easy part. For me, I'm an entertainer. I will sit here all day long and fucking make y'all laugh. Y'all make me laugh. Today we played, and I don't know who missed it, but we played Smash or Pass Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Edition. We literally played Smash or Pass looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards if we would smash or pass the character in the card. That shit's funny as fuck, and I get to do that for my job. But then outside of all that, there's tons of stuff. Like, I got stuff on the back burner. Building the YouTube, building the Twitter, building the TikTok, planning content for later in the week, planning collaborations. I got stuff like, I got the Dakimakura being made. I got to work on that business deal with the company that's going to be distributing that. The undies line, getting art made. And I know the art thingy is more, for me, it's more passion, but that also goes towards the content. People love to see that, and it draws people in. Most people have no clue what it takes to make it in things like content or pro art or music. You speak the truth. Yeah, I hate social media and advertising, all that. I never get to full time because I just don't enjoy that stuff. Here's the thing with me and advertising, like using Twitter and stuff to promote the Twitch, right? I like Twitter because I get to follow all my favorite artists, and we were just looking at them. My favorite, like, fursuit makers, right? You know, like art, like things that make me happy to look at. The downside of things is that on top of that, I have to temper the things I post and things I say to kind of cater to the direction I want things to go in. I know a lot of people that turned their official Twitch into, like, or official Twitter into a vent account, and they just vent about, like, all the things going wrong around them. And that's awesome. Speak your fucking truth. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of everything that's going on in your life. Even at the low points, speak your mind, speak your truth. But I also get self-conscious of that sometimes. And so sometimes I have to fight my self-consciousness to get really opinionated and try and balance like that outlet, you know, to be something of a tool and not just like a repository for my blabbermouthness. Oh yeah, and then the things in casual, this is another thing too. People don't realize, so we put out the original song, and we're working on the second one now, advertising that, working on that, and then we're also working on an acoustic version of that to put out, as well as our next single. That's a whole nother beast that takes up time on my schedule. Being a content creator full time, there's no start hour and end hour. I mean, you can do that, but sometimes your inspiration and motivation to do that sort of stuff, to tweet out, to be, to put something out is not, it's not your typical 9 to 5. And so you got to be open to the creative process. Luckily, I love doing this more than anything in the whole world. I cannot believe I get to do this for a living. I dreamed of this day where I get to do this, and I never thought it would happen, and now it is, and I'm gonna respect the fuck out of the process, and I'm gonna work my ass off. And like, if I mess up my schedule, right? Like, if I take a day off, take a few days off, you guys are really sweet, and you're like, oh, we'll be here when you get back, like, be patient, like, take care of yourself. And I love that, because you guys respect me in the process. However, I still have to be responsible enough to get back on the saddle, to hit the go live, even if I'm like, I can't give in to every impulse to take a day off. Because sometimes you just want to take a ton of days off, and that's just not getting you anywhere. And I feel bad when I do that. I feel emotionally better when I don't take a day off. I just need to get over that hump sometimes. So, like, understanding when you need to go against that inner voice and just be responsible and trust the process. That's another battle that people don't talk about a lot. It's also hard not to have FOMO and get jealous of other people's growth and progress. The more you do content, the more people will hunt down what they find successful in your shit and then try to emulate and do the same thing. And that's tough because you don't want to gatekeep content. I have friends that love to gatekeep content. They're like, oh, you can't do this because I do this. I can understand and respect why that's the approach. But I think at the end of the day, gatekeeping is, there's only so much you can do that, like, I just try and keep positive. Put positivity into the world. And sometimes you got to grit your fucking teeth. You got to grit your teeth and be like, oh my God, you're stealing my shit. Or I don't know. It's cutthroat. Basically, there's a lot of content creators that will just try and put you down because they are jealous or they don't understand you, and it's so easy to feed into the fight, to be like, oh yeah, well, fuck you, and then say some shit back or gatekeep them or do something. But sometimes you just gotta shake your head and be like, well, that was really mean and rude, I guess I just won't associate with you, and then be okay with the fact that they probably will get no repercussions for doing that. I've had people disrespect me majorly in a public setting, and you can't give into the cancel culture. You can't start rumors. You can't talk shit about people, no matter how much you want to. You just can't. You can't put that out into the world. You just gotta you gotta let trust the process that being good and doing good shit that makes you happy be enough. It's so hard, chat, but it's worth it. I promise. Don't feed into the negativity. Don't feed into somebody else's game. Definitely been a battle with me, especially with ADHD. I didn't feel like doing anything, and sometimes it can be pretty hard to hit the stream button, but the viewers always make it so worth it. Yeah, right? You hit go live, and you're like, oh my God, like, you barely hit go live, and then 5 minutes in, you've already like, well, I'm so fucking glad I did this. Happens to me every time. It would be a compliment for me if someone stole my content. Yeah, some people take that as a form of flattery, but sometimes it's flattering, and then other times, though, and more realistically, when somebody, like, blatantly takes your shit and calls it the same thing, and you're just kind of like, man, we could have just talked about it. I love sharing that people inspire each other as streamers, sometimes it's just as easy as a conversation. You gotta love what you do. You gotta have the passion in your voice, the passion in your face. When you're doing something like this, people feed off of that. They look for that. That's what I look for when I stream. I don't care what you're streaming. You could stream hand building model aircraft. You could stream playing pickup sticks off the floor. You could stream playing the most boring video game of all time, like, objectively. But my God, if you can just open, like, let us into your world of passion, that changes everything. It's like when you go on a date or you meet somebody in real life, and then all of a sudden you find the one thing that makes them tick. You meet that person and they fucking love, I don't know, classical music. And then you bring up, oh my God, what is your favorite concerto? And you just see that spark in their eye just explode, and their mouth starts moving, blah, 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 and all of a sudden that person that, seems really passive, all of a sudden becomes actively engaged, and their mouth moves 1 billion miles a second. And they lose track of time. That's the shit that I love to watch. That's the shit I find sexy and entertaining and inspiring. So, like, from a content creator perspective, you need to find that shit for yourself, because that's what people want to come see. Like, the 3 rules that people, like, advice I always give is, like, if you're trying to do streaming. Okay, so one, that. Because you got to be happy with streaming for hours on end if that's what you want to do. And be willing to talk about it. Speak your mind. Speak your thought process through. So find the thing that makes you passionate about the content that you make. That way, even if like the views don't show up or the growth doesn't happen right away, you're still proud of the shit you made. Don't make your content purely based around trends. balance it, because you also don't want to be making shit that's so irrelevant that nobody's gonna give a fuck. You want to do something to find a way to tie in your passion with relevancy. I know that's difficult, but when in doubt, side with the air of passion. I'd rather see you highly passionate about something that's less in the zeitgeist than something that's purely in the zeitgeist that you clearly don't give a fuck about. 2, stick to your schedule. No matter fucking what. That means don't make a schedule that you can't maintain. If you make a schedule thinking, oh, this is primetime hours, but it's interfering with shit and you find yourself canceling a lot, then change your schedule. Only stick with a schedule that you can maintain, because you're gonna want to fucking maintain it. Be reliable. Be the place people can turn to when their like day's done. It's like their favorite TV show. Become that. Become a staple. I think that's special and a wonderful way to build a community and a bond. If you can't adhere to any schedule, period, like if you're on call as like something and you have to play it by ear, then adapt. Then be like, okay, well, this is just the content I make, and that's okay. It's definitely just it's gonna be a bumpier route, I think. 3, be understanding with the fact that like it's not a flip of a switch. I streamed for 2 years, but I didn't really start making accomplishments until like the last 4 months before we got partnered. It took so much trial and error. Thoughts on friendship and content creating versus when not making content? Any difference? So I don't think it's worth building friendships purely for a collaborative sense. Don't just like be friends with somebody because you want to collaborate on content. Either be like, hey, we can offer these strengths to one another, and we should definitely collaborate. But don't be like make them think you're friends purely so you can get to them, so that you can because that's just using somebody. And people do that to me. People do that to my friends. I've seen people do it to other of my friends. Like I've seen my friends do it to their two friends. Like that's not cool. Be like, yo, we should definitely collaborate on this, and then don't beat around the bush. But also, like, it definitely makes for better chemistry if you're like, yo, reach out to your friends and be like, we get along well, period. So let's make some content. I can't stress enough, guys, the importance of like as a content creator to rise above the shit. You're gonna run into the people that try and use you. You're gonna have a desire to use people. Be like, oh my god, they're a bigger content creator. Blah 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 blah. I want to be on their team, so that way, like, I want to ride their coattails a little bit, and there's an urge to do that. And like, you know, reach out and collaborate when you can, but don't like feign a relationship for just to get something out of it. Rise above that feeling. Rise above the feelings of negativity, of jealousy, of FOMO, because there's going to be projects that you're not included in, that you want to be included in, that you're going to be jealous of growth that that your friends are getting that you're not getting. Rise above all that. Rise above the rumors. Rise above like trying to cancel people or spread shit. Don't feed into that. Absorb it. If you like, people will try. They will tell you shit. They will try and, you know, rally people to your side or criticize another content creator because like they're jealous of them or whatever. It's be so easy to be like, because they're your friend, to like feed into it, be like, oh yeah, no, I totally agree. You gotta just be like, you know what? That has nothing to do with me. As much as like I would love to be seeing the same success or doing the same thing, their successes don't lessen my success. What they do does not affect me and what I do. So just because they are reaching a certain level of success does not mean what I've already achieved isn't worthy of praise. And just put that out of your mind. Keep telling yourself that shit and rise above that. Do not be one of those shitty streamers that all you do is gossip all day long, clout chasing, coattailing, and then using people and throwing them away. Like, don't be one of those people. I know those people. I deal with those people. And holy shit, nothing gets on my nerves more, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'd rather interact with people. And then that's the thing. Those people then wonder, like, why don't we hang out? I'm like, I don't even think I have the time to explain. Because at the end of the day, what is your jealousy gonna get you? People aren't gonna like open their eyes and be like, oh my god, you're right. Like, you deserve it and they don't. No, that's shitty thinking. At the end of the day, you're just gonna seem petty. So you can either put that fucking jealousy out into the world, or you can just swallow your pride and be like, you know what? Their success is inconsequential to mine. And just understand that you're on two different paths. And there's only so much you can do.